Command Sergeant Major Bronk Conley, Command Sergeant Major, Army National Guard. Command Sergeant Major Luther Thomas, Command Sergeant Major, United States Army Reserve. Chaplain Brigadier General Charles Bailey, Deputy Chief of Chaplains, United States Army. Major General Jeffrey S. Buchanan, Commanding General, United States Army Military District of Washington. Lieutenant General William Ingram, Jr., Director, Army National Guard. Lieutenant General Jeffrey Talley, Chief, Army Reserve, Commanding General, United States Army Reserve Command. Sergeant Major of the Army, Raymond Chandler III. General Dennis Vai, Commanding General, United States Army Materiel Command. General Daniel Allen, Commanding General, United States Army Forces Command. General Vincent Brooks, Commanding General, United States Army Pacific. General Frank Grass, Chief, National Guard Bureau. The Honorable Joseph Westfall, Under Secretary of the Army. General Gordon Sullivan, United States Army retired, President and Chief Executive Officer, Association of the United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our honored guest and keynote speaker, Chief of Staff of the United States Army, General Raymond Odierno.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain standing? Please remain standing while Chaplain Bailey invokes the blessing, and please remain standing for the national anthem.
Please allow me to pray on behalf of all of us here to our Creator within my own tradition. Let us pray. O God, you alone have no beginning or end. You are eternally without change. You are the supreme commander of our lives and of this world. Father in heaven, You have given us a mind to know you, a will to serve you, and a heart to love you. Be with us today in all that we do, so that your light may shine out in our lives. Give us the courage this day, O Lord, to do those things that we know we should be doing, and give us the ability to properly tell which is which. As you feed our bodies, so may our minds partake of that which is wholesome and pure. With this physical and mental nourishment, grant that we may so live in a way that brings honor to our Army, our country, and ourselves. And when we come to you, if called, we come in the humble pride of the good soldier and the clarity of your infinite mercy. Be with us all, now and forevermore. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. But say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the home of the brave?
Please be seated and enjoy your lunch. I saw one of the waitresses trying to give away another dinner. Anybody wanted another dinner or dessert? And I didn't see many takers, so. Welcome to the Dwight David Eisenhower Luncheon. The theme this year, as you know, is America's Army. Globally responsive, regionally engaged. That is accompanied by the Association of the U.S. Army's tagline, a professional development forum. There's only one forum like this, certainly in the Western Hemisphere, and we're very proud of it, and we're proud to have all of you with us today. There's no other show like it in the world, and no other place to learn and enjoy from 500 exhibits from industry, international industry, people all over the world. 12 military and governmental exhibits, along with many professional presentations, some of which I know most of you have seen these last 2 days. More to come tomorrow, more to come as soon as I get through talking. I'm going to be short, though. It's been a custom for a number of years to honor the senior Army people present, which you could see here, and each was honored as we came into the hall. Now, I want to just recognize anyone from any other service of the United States, members of the Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps, and Coast Guard who might be present. If they are present, I'd like them to stand to be recognized. Okay, I want to recognize former Secretary of the Army, Mr. Lou Caldera, who's at a table here somewhere. Lou, right there. Former Secretary of the Army, Lou Caldera. And I would like all active duty command sergeants major and sergeants majors to please stand to be recognized. That's a big number of the senior non-commissioned officer leadership of the U.S. Army, Active Guard and Reserve, NCOs, the backbone of the Army, and we're glad to have you, honored to have you with us. Welcome also to those individuals who have been selected non-commissioned officers and soldiers of the year, drill sergeants of the year, recruiters of the year, and other outstanding soldiers. Would the outstanding non-commissioned officers and soldiers of the year, all of them, please stand to be recognized. We're pleased to have all of you with us. Thanks for coming. Today we're honored to have as guests of the Association of the United States Army a number of general officers representing our allies and friends from around the world. If all of you would please stand to be recognized, we want you to know how pleased we are to have you with us. So general officers, flag officers from other countries. Traditionally, the Army Chief of Staff and the Sergeant Major of the Army have used this venue to make presentations to Army awards to outstanding soldiers. If General Odiono and Sergeant Major of the Army Chandler would position themselves here in the front part of the stage, they will present awards there now.
Would the recipient of the Stephen Iles Award please come to the stage? The Stephen Iles Award is presented annually by the Department of the Army to the Outstanding Drill Sergeant of the United States Army. This year, outstanding drill sergeants representing United States Army training centers competed in a headquarters U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command competition for this coveted award. The 2013 Army Drill Sergeant of the Year is Sergeant First Class David E. Stover II. Would the recipient of the Ralph E. Haynes Jr. Award please come to the stage? The Ralph E. Haynes Jr. Award is given annually by the Department of the Army to the United States Army Reserve Drill Sergeant of the Year. Outstanding drill sergeants, aides, competed in a headquarters U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command competition for this coveted award. The 2013 Reserve Drill Sergeant of the Year is Sergeant First Class Ryan McCaffrey. Would the recipients of the General Maxwell Thurman Recruiting Excellence Award please come to the stage? The General Maxwell Thurman Recruiting Excellence Award is given each year to the active duty, Army National Guard, and Army Reserve Recruiters of the Year. During General Thurman's tenure as commander of the U.S. Army Recruiting Command, he significantly improved the quality of Army enlistees and helped create the professional Army of today. And he played a key role in fostering the public's positive perceptions of America's Army and its great soldiers. His influence left a mark on Army recruiting and set high standards for today's Army recruiters. The non-commissioned officers selected as the top Army recruiters for 2013. The U.S. Army Recruiter of the Year is Sergeant First Class Crystal Jarrett. The U.S. Army National Guard Recruiting and Retention NCO of the Year is Sergeant First Class Joshua Manell. The U.S. Army Reserve Recruiter of the Year is Sergeant First Class Mariella Richardson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the screens for a short video highlighting soldiers across our Army.
You got him. Target destroyed.
For 12 years of combat, the total Army has answered the nation's call, proving ready and resilient. Today, the Army is adapting to meet the needs of the nation, becoming globally responsive with tailorable and scalable forces that can operate in unstable, shifting environments. The Army is also regionally engaged, aligned to conduct operational deployments, build partner relations, and lead joint exercises. As our Army evolves, leadership and professionalism remain our Army's bedrock and the foundation of our future. Our leaders are highly trained and adaptive, ready for complex operating environments. Leaders are the Army's strength, and they must sustain our advantage. The Army remains focused on our Army profession and the responsibilities that come with the uniform. Soldiers are our nation's ambassadors. They represent the United States of America worldwide with their moral and ethical values. Our most advanced weapon is still the professional American soldier who continues to serve wherever called. The premier volunteer Army, ready then, ready now. We are the world's best Army. We are Army Strong.
Today, we are honored to have with us the 38th Chief of Staff of the United States Army, who will present to us his perspective on the way ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, General Ray Odierno, Chief of Staff of the United States Army.
Good afternoon. How's everybody today? It's great to be here. It's great to be here. Such a great turnout. General Sullivan and I were commenting on, this is my third one, I think this is by far the largest turnout. They're all the way to the corners, and so I want to thank everyone for their tremendous support. Obviously, I want to thank General Sullivan and the Association of United States Army for putting on this very important forum that allows us to talk about our profession, to talk about where the Army's headed, to see the technical capabilities, but also have the forum set up where we talk about families and leaders and the way ahead. It's such an important forum for us, and we're so pleased we're able to do it this year, and it's the steadfast commitment of General Sullivan and his team that made that happen. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for everything you do. So you probably noticed that the Secretary of the Army is not here and the Vice isn't here, and we had to make a trade because last night we got a call that there's a meeting today and I was supposed to be the one to attend, and I told them I had lunch with 4,000 of my closest friends and I couldn't make it, so the Secretary and the Vice are filling in for me. but they certainly wish that they could be here. Former Secretary of the Army Louis Caldera, sir, thank you for being here. It's good to see you again. The 31st Chief of Staff of the Army, Carl Vuono, sir, it's always great to see you. The 33rd Chief of Staff of the Army, Dennis Reimer, it's great to see you, sir. We were commenting before, there's 4 of us here, and 3 of us are artillerymen. We thought that was pretty good. Then we tried to name another artilleryman, and we couldn't find any all the way back to 1960 or something like that. So, but we're riding the wave right now. So, Sergeant Major of the Army Chandler, sir, Sergeant Major, thank you for your leadership as always. Former Sergeant Majors of the Army Robert Hall, Jack Tilley, and Ken Preston, thank you all for being here and your continued support to our great Army. Let me do just a You know, normally at this luncheon, we at least recognize the non-commissioned officer and soldier of the year, which is done based on the warrior competition that we have. Unfortunately, it had to be postponed because of the shutdown. But I promise you, from the 19th through the 22nd of November, we are going to conduct that competition. It is an incredible competition that brings our best leaders from across the Army together. So we're sorry we weren't able to recognize them. Now, we had a bunch of people stand up and recognize them, and I want to recognize one group of people today because of all of the great uncertainty and great hard work that's had to be done. I want everyone here who's on the Army staff to stand up. Stand up, all of you. I know you don't want to stand up. Come on. Admit you're on the Army staff. Come on, let's go. We have a great team who's worked incredibly hard over the last several years to get us where we are, and I'm really proud of them and the hard work that they do, and I wanted to recognize them. I want to thank the many soldiers, Department of the Army, civilians, and family members that are here today. I'd like to thank the people who do so much for our Army family, our supporters on Capitol Hill, our allies, our multinational partners who are here, and each of our partners in corporate America who do so much to help us as we build the finest Army in the world. And finally, I have to thank my high school sweetheart, who's committed her life to our soldiers and families, my wife Linda. Her selflessness, her personal sacrifice, and resilience has been an inspiration to me and an incredible example to our family. So, Linda, thank you for everything that you do. You know, as I stand here today, it's hard to believe I've now been the chief for over 2 years. That means that my tenure's half over. And you wonder where it's gone. I also wonder if there's anything else that can happen during this tenure that hasn't happened already. I'm sure there'll be something that comes up over the next couple years. As many of you know, we've been heavily focused on the budget. We've had no other choice. And we've had to grapple with unprecedented fiscal uncertainty. But during this whole time, there's one thing that's remained steadfast. And that's the commitment, the competence, and character of our soldiers and civilians of this great Army. Their dedication to each other, the mission at hand, and our nation. And that remains the foundation of who we are. This year, the soldiers and civilians of the active Army, the Army National Guard, and the U.S. Army Reserve have repeatedly demonstrated why we are the strength of the nation. We've adapted our formations and training to prepare our soldiers for the constantly changing security environment. In Afghanistan, the fielding of security force assistance brigades has dramatically increased the capabilities of our Afghan national security forces, who are now fully in the lead in security operations across their country. We've sent Patriot and THAAD batteries to Guam, Turkey, and Jordan to defend our allies. And we've continued to evolve our force posture all around the world, in places like Africa, in places in the Asia-Pacific region, to help combatant commanders shape their theaters, We've sent soldiers to conduct logistics training alongside units from places like Sierra Leone and trained Indonesian Army forces for future disaster response missions. We've sent soldiers to fight fires in northern Colorado and to assist with flood relief in Colorado. Our civilian workforce has stood by us every step of the way, even as they've personally sacrificed their pay and endured disruption to their workplace and project momentum. We owe each and every one of them a great gratitude for the commitment to our Army, the Department of Defense, and our nation. Together we have shown the American people why our Army is truly the strength of this great nation. There are many who are concerned about the role of the Army in the future. But the bottom line is the Army always has and always will play a significant role in our joint force. We can't afford to stand still, and now is not the time to take our eye off the ball. Whatever the size of our budget, whatever the size of any future Army, our political leaders and the American people expect our soldiers to be ready for that next security challenge. Therefore, over the next 2 years, we will move out on implementing the institutional reforms necessary to ensure the soldiers of today are prepared to fight and win tomorrow. Therefore, let me take a few minutes to describe my strategic vision and the priorities for our Army. The Army will remain the most highly trained and professional all-volunteer land force in the world, uniquely organized with the capability and capacity to provide expeditionary and decisive land power to the joint force, ready and capable to perform across the spectrum of conflict, across the range of military operations to prevent conflict, shape the current and future security environment, and if necessary, win in support of our national security objectives. And we'll do that if we're needed today, but also against emerging threats of the future. To accomplish this vision, we'll focus on 5 strategic priorities for the future. Developing adaptive Army leaders for a complex world. Building a globally responsive and regionally engaged Army. Providing a ready and modern Army. Strengthening our commitment to our Army profession. And last but not least, sustaining the premier all-volunteer Army. One of the Army's greatest competitive advantages has been the development of our leaders. And as we look to the future, it's essential that we build on this advantage as the security environment will grow in its complexity. We will never walk away from building the individual toughness, battlefield skill, and the fighting spirit that has defined the American soldier. But we must also grow strategic leaders by providing our soldiers and civilians with the analytical tools to understand the complexity of the contemporary security environment. Why is this so important? Given the dynamic uncertainty of conducting operation in today's world, it is imperative that military leaders not only have tactical and technical proficiency, but also understand the underlying political, economic, and the social context at the tactical, operational, and strategic levels of war. We must reinforce our lessons learned conducting joint multinational operations, conducting interagency planning and cooperation, and intergovernmental collaboration. We have experienced this over the past 10 years, and the future demands on our leaders requires that they operate comfortably in this environment in the future. So we're reviewing the curriculum at all of our NCO officer and civilian professional military education centers to ensure that we retain our tactical and technical proficiency while cultivating an operational perspective, from initial entry up to through senior non-commissioned officer and our general officers, as well as our senior executive service. We are expanding opportunities for broadening assignments at combatant commands, the Army and Joint Staff, agencies across the government, internships with think tanks and industry. And we are incentivizing advanced civil schooling. As we do, we will institute new evaluation and assessment tools that will enable the Army to identify the best talent and manage their assignments so that we match the right soldiers and civilians with the right assignments at the right time. The future environment demands that we be globally responsive and postured to rapidly deploy, fight and win whenever and wherever our national interests are threatened. We will reestablish an expeditionary mindset by improving our capabilities to project power and, if necessary, conduct forced entry into denied areas under extremely austere conditions anywhere in the world. We are improving our responsiveness to the combatant commanders by eliminating institutional impediments to providing forces rapidly and expediting their movement into theater. We will maintain a responsive force posture, an effective network of installations and capabilities at home and abroad to protect U.S. interests and those of our allies. We must continue to be the force of choice for providing critical expeditionary enablers to the joint force in areas such as aviation, intelligence, engineers, medical, signal, and special operations, just to name a few. As we rebuild our expeditionary capabilities for crisis response, we will align our forces in support of the combatant commanders. They will be task organized, deployable, scalable from platoon to corps level. By aligning divisions and corps habitually to a regional combatant commander, Army units will shape the environment, build trust, and gain access through rotational deployments, military-to-military engagements, bilateral and multilateral exercises, theater security cooperation activities. We will build on and improve the independence of our special operations and conventional forces. Working alongside our special operations forces, our interagency partners, and our allies, we will deepen regional understanding and use it to sharpen tactical, operational, and strategic planning. We've already started implementing our regionally aligned force concept in a couple of locations with great impact. At the brigade level, the 2nd Brigade of the 1st Infantry Division has been at the forefront, conducting over 40 missions for U.S. Africa Command, from crisis response to security cooperation missions in South Africa, Chad, and Niger, most of which were executed with junior officers and non-commissioned officers in the lead. In Jordan, 1st Armored Division has demonstrated the same level of flexibility by creating a divisional headquarters aligned to U.S. Central Command that provides support to several regional exercises, training the local allies and partner units and nations, and serves as a base for projecting CENTCOM forward presence. Regionalized forces will add to the activities the Army routinely performs with the Army Corps of Engineers, Civil Affairs, Aviation, medical support teams, including our state partnership programs, linking Army National Guard units with forces in 71 nations. As we come out of Afghanistan, or as we continue to reduce our presence in Afghanistan, we will expand our regional alignment of forces across the force. Our brigades will cycle through a regional alignment rotation under combatant command, support, and control. In doing so, we'll reinforce the notion of gaining local and regional knowledge, build the readiness of our forces, and most importantly, build the readiness of our allies, and meet the needs of our combatant commanders to prevent conflict, shape their environment, and when necessary, will be available to fight and win decisively anywhere in the world. And as you all know, essential to any Army's success will be our readiness and our modernization. We must invest both time and resources, organizing, training, and equipping the force to rapidly deploy, fight, sustain itself, and win against complex state and non-state adversaries in austere environments and in rugged terrain. We will rebuild the Army's combined arms maneuver and wide area security capabilities by reinvesting in our combat training centers, the best centers of their kind in the world. The combat training centers will once again become the centerpiece of our training, our brigade combat teams and support units for decisive action. We will reinvigorate home station training using live, virtual, and constructive capabilities that provide tough, realistic scenarios to build soldier, leader, and unit competency over time. We will also capitalize upon multi-echelon joint and multinational command post exercises, staff rides, simulations, and the Mission Command Training Program events to build regionally capable joint forces land component commands and joint task forces. Take, for example, the 3rd Brigade Combat Team of the 82nd Airborne Division, who alongside units from 5th Special Forces Group, 7th Infantry Division, and Air Force units recently executed Joint Forcible Entry, a combined non-combatant evacuation and unconventional warfare at the Joint Readiness Training Center at Fort Polk. Last year, the 2nd Cavalry Regiment participated in Sabre Junction 2012, the largest and most complex joint and multinational exercises conducted in Europe in over 20 years. 4,000 U.S. Army soldiers, 1,800 military personnel from 18 partner nations conducted near simultaneous offense, defense, and stability operations to improve unity of effort and interoperability with our partner nations. And this January, the 3rd Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 2nd Infantry Division, will conduct a decisive action rotation at the National Training Center. All of these exercises are the model for training our Army and U.S. multinational partners on combined arms maneuver and wide area security to meet the needs of today's security environment. Our modernization programs will remain centered on ensuring the American soldier remains the most discriminately lethal force on the battlefield. We will prioritize the procurement of proven technologies that enhance soldier and unit lethality, their survivability, their mobility, and network functionality, and improve our premier ground and air combat systems. Science and technology investments will seek to maximize the potential of emerging game-changing technologies. It's imperative that we prepare Army units for emerging missions in space, cyberspace, missile defense, counter WMD, and WMD elimination missions. But we all know that the foundation of a ready and modern Army is the American soldier. Over the past 12 years of war, the American soldier has proven to the American people that when we adapt our formations, our training, and equipment to the challenges we face, we are the decisive advantage on the battlefield. We have earned the trust of the American people, and now we must preserve that trust by demonstrating our commitment to the Army profession. We will enforce a professional environment that is free of harassment and promotes and respects the individual dignity of every soldier and civilian. We will build the comprehensive physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual resiliency of our soldiers, civilians, and their families to enable them to thrive personally and professionally throughout their service. As soldiers and civilians in the active Army, the Army National Guard, and the U.S. Army Reserve, we celebrate a shared professional ethic, commitment to the defense of this nation, and legacy of honorable service together since 1775. Together as a total Army, we must renew the foundation of our Army's strength by demonstrating the character, competence, and commitment that are hallmarks of our Army profession. No one represents the ideals of service more than our past and present Medal of Honor recipients. And we are fortunate to have joining us today two of our most recent awardees, Staff Sergeant Ty Carter and Captain Will Swenson. There are certain people who are able to step up in the most difficult times and do something extraordinary. No one quite understands what characteristics will cause someone to display incredible courage or sacrifice their own safety. But I can tell you why they did it. War has strategic implications and operational implications. But to a soldier, it's very personal. To all of us, but especially to Ty Carter at Cop Keating and Will Swenson in the village of Conjugal, it was about the people on the right and left. It's about the men and women with whom you have lived every second of every moment in difficult situations. You form a bond that is indescribable, especially in the most difficult situations. It's about that unspoken commitment that you have to each other. And therein lies a greater dedication to the mission, to the service, and to the profession. I would like to ask both Ty Carter and Will Swenson to please stand and be recognized. What's interesting is we know they both demonstrated incredible courage, commitment, and sacrifice. But they will first to tell you they are not alone. By honoring our Medal of Honor recipients, we honor the heroes who sacrificed for this nation, some making the ultimate sacrifice. Along with every service member of the all-volunteer force who have raised their right hand to defend this country and defend our ideals. Our overwhelming success as an Army has led many to believe that our nation's best young men and women will always be willing to serve. However, we must be mindful that we must always have the ability to recruit and retain the best, and this is directly linked to how we honor the service and sacrifice of our soldiers, our veterans, our retirees, our wounded warriors, and their families. We are extremely grateful for the high-quality care and compensation our nation has shown to our Army over the last decade. However, compensation costs remain at historic highs and are going even higher. Currently, 46% of the Army budget is dedicated to compensation. And today, that figure is projected to increase to 80% by 2023. As we go forward, we must develop compensation packages that reduce future costs, but at the same time recognize our soldiers and their families for their commitment and sacrifice. We must make choices that preserve the high quality of our force, but allows the all-volunteer Army to remain affordable. As I visit our installations across the United States, and our units forward deployed around the world, I am humbled every day by the talent and dedicated service of our soldiers, Department of the Army civilians, and their families. It is soldiers such as Staff Sergeant Michael H. Olis from the 10th Mountain Division, who during an infiltration of his base by insurgents blocked the path of a suicide bomber and made the ultimate sacrifice to save the life of a nearby Polish officer. His parents will receive a Silver Star in a ceremony at Fort Drum later this week, and he will be also honored with the Polish Armed Forces Gold Medal. It's soldiers such as Chief Warrant Officer 4 Thomas Arojo, who will receive the Soldier's Medal next week for his actions to save a young girl and her father from drowning off the coast of Panama City, Florida. It's soldiers such as Sergeant First Class John Melson of the Massachusetts Army National Guard, who in August was awarded his 4th Bronze Star Medal and his first for valor during his 6th overseas deployment, when he led a team of Army soldiers and Afghan National Police to fight their way out of an ambush of 250 Taliban fighters. It's soldiers such as Command Sergeant Major Julie Gora and Specialist Jarrett Wright who have strengthened our sexual assault and harassment prevention and response programs by displaying incredible personal courage, reporting the crimes committed against them, and sharing their stories as survivors. And it's soldiers such as track and field para-athlete retired Specialist Louis Puertas and cycling para-athlete Specialist Elizabeth Wassel, who've shown us the very meaning of personal resiliency with their multiple gold medal performances at the 2000 Warrior Games. Each of these soldiers and thousands of others represent what every man, woman who dons this uniform strives to be. An individual has earned the trust of all with whom they associate. One who possesses a humility and selflessness that we all respect. One who embraces esprit de corps and demonstrates a dedication to their profession that epitomizes the ethos of the American soldier. These soldiers represent who we are and who we have been for 238 years. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us. We gather strength from the families around us. We cannot do what we do without the steadfast support of our families and the American people. We do not take their trust, their support, and the sacrifice of our families make every day for granted. Even though we continue to have uncertainty in our budget, even though sequestration will hang over our heads, the one thing that remains steadfast in our Army is that the Army will continue to be the most representative of the American people than any other U.S. institution. No matter what the challenge, no matter what the circumstances, our soldiers will continue to serve with the competence, character, and commitment the American people deserve, because that's who we are. That's why I'm proud to serve. That's why every service member in uniform is proud to serve. Together, we're the greatest Army in the world. And I guarantee everyone here in this audience today that we will remain the greatest Army in the world. The strength of our nation is our Army. The strength of our Army is our soldiers. The strength of our soldiers is our families. And that's what makes this Army strong. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Chief. We're ready to stand with you and support you, the Secretary of the Army, and your team as you lead the way into the future. Before we conclude, let me encourage you to attend the military exhibits, the presentations and demonstrations. Learn and exchange ideas. Make sure that you attend the contemporary military forums hosted by our Institute of Land Warfare. And you can download the app on your phone if you are so inclined and talented enough to do it. There might be some like me who are a little challenged in that regard, but these sessions that you will find are designed for officers, civilians, NCOs, soldiers, Army family members, and friends of the United States Army. Take advantage of these important lessons. Chief, we're really proud of you and the troops, and we appreciate very much your enthusiasm, and your strength comes through. And your recognition of these two great soldiers and what they represent, you and your soldiers demonstrate each and every day how powerful the U.S. Army really is. God bless all of you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our luncheon. Please remain in your seats until the head table has cleared the room.